Hi guys, Darth here, back with another video. Today doing my final top 10 video for 2023. I've done top 10 Black Series of 2023, top 10 TVC, top 10 Transformers, and top 10 pickups. And now we round it all off with the top 10 overall action figures of 2023. For my list, and my self-imposed rules is that it has to have been released in 2023 or very late in 2022, where I probably wouldn't have gotten it until 2023. Have to have bought it, of course. And I don't count Hot Toys on my list. I did pick up a handful of Hot Toys throughout over the year. My favorite's probably Crosshair from the Bad Batch. I don't know if I'll do a video on those, but yeah, picked him up. Picked up the Chrome Mando, which I really like a lot. Bo-Katan, the other Bad Batch members that released last year. All really great figures, but I just don't feel like it's super fair to compare those figures that are hundreds of dollars to a figure that's like $30, $40. They half the list would just be the Hot Toys figures. That's not very exciting. But yeah, in front of you, not the top 10. This is just some honorable mentions. You won't see any Star Wars or Transformers here. I didn't see a point in putting them in honorable mentions when I have full top 10 lists with full honorable mentions for those in separate videos. So you can go check those out if you want to see more in-depth, specifically Transformers for my year or my Star Wars Sega TVC or the Black Series. But we got some great stuff. It was a really good year, and like usually it is, and lots of really great figures came out with this list. Not super easy to make, but honorable mentions wise, I think Marvel Legends. I'm pretty picky with Marvel Legends. I really tried to only get figures I really want, characters I really want. They put out some pretty cool stuff. This Daredevil Elektra, very cool figure. Nice sculpt and paint, great articulation. Accessories are decent. Really big fan of this design for Elektra. Anything Daredevil I'm going to be a fan of. And I think this figure, I think is honestly kind of a sleeper hit for the year. I think some people will sleep on this one. I think it's really great. I like this one a lot. As well as the Extremis Armor Iron Man. I feel like some people like this figure and some people don't. It is probably my favorite comic look for Iron Man, and I think that it's a pretty reasonable upgrade to the old Return of Marvel Legends Extremis Armor Iron Man, whatever. It's got the more realistic proportions. The articulation's nice. Accessories okay. He could have came with some more stuff in my opinion, but nah, he's still a really solid figure. I do like him quite a bit. And there's some other Marvel and stuff. Baron Strucker, not a super exciting figure, but I like that one because I wanted that character in Legends for a while. The Rose, just another mobster guy to add to the Spider-Man shelf, that sort of stuff. I actually did get a couple NECA figures, and War Duke here just barely didn't make the list. Definitely worthy to be on the list. I know he'll make probably a lot of people's lists. It's a really great figure, beautifully sculpted and painted, serviceable articulation, nothing crazy, but you can definitely do some decent posing. Great array of accessories for the price point. Really awesome looking design. I just have no attachment to Dungeons and Dragons, and while I don't think these characters really have much background anyways, they're just like characters that got really good figures this year that just were more important to me personally. So he didn't make the list for that reason, but it's a really great figure. Yeah, I like him a lot. I didn't get too much McFarlane Toys figures this year. Again, another line I'm trying to slow down on. But I did have to get the Bane. This is the gold label, I think, just single release Bane, and it came with this soft goods pleather trench coat, which might look kind of goofy, but I like it. It looks cool. It's a different thing. You don't usually see pleather coats on figures anymore, so I think that's cool. He's well articulating. He looks good. I like having a movie Bane in my collection. I didn't get any of the other of the figures from the films, the Dark Knight figures. I just didn't want to spend the money, but I would definitely want to have a Bane. He's really nice. There's a few other figures I picked up that were all right. The newer Mr. Freeze was a decent figure. And then the Medieval Spawn, definitely a highlight for McFarlane Toys for me. Really great, big, bulky, hefty, decent paint where there is paint, good accessories, decent articulation. I think he could have been a little better articulated. I think he also could use a little more paint. And I also wish he came with a shield. So stuff like that kind of kept him off the list for me. But he's really cool. Maybe a bit of surprise, but the Adventure series Indiana Jones actually did not make my list. He was in my halfway point list, but he didn't make the main list. I'm very happy they did a line of 6-inch Indiana Jones figures. I like to find that I finally have a pretty solid Indiana Jones figure in my collection. This Raiders figure is really good. I didn't get too many because, again, another line I wasn't going to go all in on. I only got this one, the Temple of Doom Indy, and then Sean Connery, Henry Jones Sr. And there might be a few others I get if they go on sale. But yeah, I was very cherry picking with this line. And it's a good figure, really good figure. But it just has like just random little nitpicks that just kind of pile on. It just didn't wow me as much as I thought maybe it would. The articulation's good. This one specifically has a good array of accessories. But I think he could have used a little more paint, especially on some of the accessories. The pistol, the pistol strap barely works. The whip strap straight up doesn't work, which is really annoying to me. That really bugs me. I can't remove his hat, which isn't a big deal, but it would have been kind of a nice feature instead of having to buy a completely separate Indiana Jones. It's a really nice figure. I really do like it a lot, but he just didn't quite make it. And then G.I. Joe Classified. G.I. Joe Classified. Again, another line I'm trying not to buy so much from, but it's so difficult when they keep just releasing banger after banger. And the G.I. Joe line, in my opinion, is the best domestic action figure line at the price point of the $30 range right now. It's just so good. All the figures, I bought more than I was honestly expecting to buy this year, and they've all just been so good. Here is just a few of the honorable mentions. Agent Helix is a recent one, really surprised me. I was interested in the figure when she was announced, but I know nothing about the character, and then I ended up biting the bullet and picking her up, and I don't regret it one bit. Probably one of my favorite female figures in my entire collection. Posability is really good. The sculpt and paint, for the most part, looks great. I absolutely love the head sculpt and face print. That looks incredible. A very nice array of accessories. You can store all the accessories on her as well, which is awesome. She came super close to making the list, but there was one G.I. Joe Classified figure where I actually do have attachments to the character, so he ended up beating her out. But yeah, this figure, if there's a number 11 spot, it'd probably go to Helix. And then just other stuff. Low Light was really good. I like the rifle that can come apart a bit and go into the gun case. General Hawk was great. That's a character I wanted to see in the line. And then I think the Crimson Guard technically came out in 2022, but I didn't get it until the early 2023. And that's the main army builder I wanted them to add to the line. And it's very well executed. So I really like that one as well. Try and grab him real quick. He came with, again, pinless, looked great, a bunch of accessories. I'm really happy with this one. They really did an excellent job. But yeah, that's pretty much, I think, all there's to talk about for honorable mentions. I've already rambled on too long, so I'm going to clear these guys off, and we will take a look at my top 10. And starting off at number 10, we have the Mezco 112 Collective Mr. Freeze. It's been a long time since I picked up a Mezco figure. I've kind of gone off the line. They're just not as easy to acquire anymore. I don't want to pre-order them. They're not making a ton of characters I even really care about that much, and they're just getting more expensive to the point where it's like, spend to get a couple Mezco or get a Hot Toys figure. I'm going to pick the Hot Toys figure over the two Mezcos. But Mr. Freeze kind of has an interesting history because he went up for pre-order like 3 years ago. I pre-ordered it originally. After I think like maybe a year and a half or 2 years, I canceled it because it was like we had no idea when this guy was going to come out, if he was ever going to come out. And I don't really like having pre-orders up where I don't know when they're going to charge, roughly. So I canceled it. I let it go. And then eventually this year he did finally release, and I was able to get him for pretty much, I think, around retail, like his original retailing price, which is nice, or original price. And it's a great figure. When it comes to Mr. Freeze, he is one of my favorite Batman villains. I do like a certain design for Mr. Freeze, and that is a big, bulky suit and armor, like it's a power suit and a suit that looks a bit kind of practical looking, I suppose. And this figure does the design, I think, really well. It's got this nice, like almost like quilted, padded suit that does, look like it's an insulated suit to keep him cool. It's got the big, bulky armor, the huge torso armor, the big bulb there. You do have the optional mask you can put there, which I think looks really cool. Light up features where the backpack lights up, as well as the inside around the collar there. You can't really see it too well because of the bright lights here, but it does light up pretty nicely. The gun lights up quite brightly. as well. And I like how like the tank, I think on the side here also lights out. Again, you can't see because of my lighting, but that's really cool. A good array of accessories. Got this giant freeze ray. You got a smaller freeze pistol that you can holster onto his belt there. Hand options. You can take the helmet off. You can take the little mask thing off. He has a couple head sculpts. It comes with some freeze effects. So I think that's really cool. His articulation is serviceable for what he is. I don't expect Mr. Freeze to be a super dynamically posable guy. He doesn't need to be. Can be a little frustrating getting him into certain poses. Getting him to hold the giant cannon with two hands is doable because I have him doing it, but it is something you got to kind of fiddle with for a fair amount of time to get it looking the way you want to. I did have this guy on my desk and messed with him and posed him around for a little while, but once he went on the shelf, he kind of just stayed there, and I haven't touched him since, really. But he is a really nice display piece. Among my other Mezco figures that I still have, he's definitely a standout. He has quite the shelf presence, and I think he is super cool. At number 9, I really wanted to include some Gundam on my list because Gundam's a big thing I really like, and but the thing is they don't release or didn't release a ton of new kits that I was really that interested in this year, and I ended up building a lot of stuff that came out from previous years. But one thing that did come out this year is the Master Grade Verka Zeta Gundam from Zeta Gundam, and it's a suit that's a really cool design. Not one of my absolute favorites, although after building this kit, it has grown on me a lot more. It's still a really cool suit, main Gundam design. And this Verka kit is really, really nice. It's super solid, poses nicely. I really like the design. From the readings in the manual, they really tried to go for an anime accurate look to the animation from the original show. I think it looks really great. The gimmicks are good, accessories are decent. It has a transformation that actually doesn't compromise the structure of the entire kit, as it's perfectly posable and solid in its normal robot mode. The transformation's not too convoluted or fiddly, it's not too bad to do. And then the Wave Rider mode is also pretty solid. I do kind of wish it came with the giant cannon that the suit uses in the show, but overall, I'm really happy with this. It's a really nice kit, and it looks really nice on display with my other small collection of Master Grade kits. And number 8, a Marvel Legends actually made my list this year, and I can't remember if Marvel Legends made my list last year or not, but we have the No Way Home movie Green Goblin, and I really like that movie, mainly because of the returning villains from previous Spider-Man films from other continuities. And I absolutely love William Dafoe as the Green Goblin. I think he kills it as that role every time he plays it. And yeah, I was really excited for this figure to come out, and it did come out. And while he definitely is a bit expensive, it's a great figure. Sculpt and paint, really well done. The William Dafoe likeness is really good. Decent array of accessories. You got the pumpkin bomb that actually clips really securely into his open hand there. You can have him with the goggles and hood on, like I have here. You can take the goggles off. You can take the hood off. Do different configurations there. And he even comes with the Raimi movie Goblin helmet. So even though it's not accurate to the movie, you can still put that on and have that look, which I think is a super awesome feature to have. And of course, he does come with the glider that I think is nicely sculpted and painted. And they even included the little display flight stand base, which is really nice. So it actually looks good on display. For people who can't, like me, I can't really set up like wires and lines to mount these figures, so that really helps me out a lot personally. I do wish this figure had a little more articulation. This figure really would have benefited from like a calf or ankle swivel to make it easier to get him on the glider, because as it stands right now, it's doable as you can see, but could have been easier to get him on the glider. I would have liked some more accessories as well, some more hand options. It doesn't come with any interchangeable hands. But overall, I am really happy with it. It's a really, really cool piece. And at number 7 now, I do believe, number 7, we have my favorite G.I. Joe classified figure I got this year. It is Firefly. Firefly is one of my favorite Cobra characters from G.I. Joe. And I have the Cobra Island figure from a few years back. I still like that figure quite a bit. I like that big bomb armor. juggernaut design they decided to go with, and I actually prefer the head sculpt on the old one than on this new one. It just had so much personality, that unhingedness they managed to capture in that old head sculpt. I think it still looks absolutely awesome. But overall, this figure is definitely the superior one. Goes for a more classic design, pinless joints. I think he's new sculpt head to toe, I think. Superior articulation. I really like the design. Just slightly modernized the classic look. I think it looks really great. Articulation's really good. Great amount of accessories. There's the head sculpt without the goggles, which I think still looks really good. I really like the goggles on this one too, more than on the old one. I think they look a lot cooler. Accessories in general, great as well. You got the goggles, he's got the knife there, the submachine gun, pistol in the holster. The silencer's removable. He's got this little hand detonator, which I really like a lot. You got the backpack. It can store a couple mines that you can remove, and even has a RC car, bomb-like RC car that can be stored on the back of the backpack as well, making it really functional. And you can store the submachine gun on there as well. Just absolutely phenomenal figure. Love how it looks. Love how it plays and poses. It's just absolutely awesome. Really like this one. At number 6, we have a figure that actually really surprised me, and it's the Bandai Tamashii Nations movie realization Boba Fett. Their line of 7-inch scale figures that kind of takes Star Wars designs and reimagines them in this samurai, old school samurai style armor and design. And they've done a few Boba Fett's, Jango Fett, Mandalorian characters in the past. I have the Jango Fett, but I think this one's probably my favorite of the movie realization figures they've done that I have so far. They don't make too many anymore, but it's really great. I really like the design of Boba Fett from Book of Boba Fett. I really like the show. I'm sorry, but it's true. I really like the show. And I think it just translates into this new daimyo samurai style Boba Fett just so well. It looks great. The paint and sculpt is on point. It's actually really well articulated. I was kind of expecting him to have some limitations, but he can actually fully aim his rifle, which I thought he wasn't even going to be able to do. Something I can't get the normal SH Figure Arts version to do. So that surprised me. He's got the moving rangefinder there. He's got a bunch of nice accessories, hand options, jetpack, the flintlock style rifle. He's got the flintlock style pistol that you can holster on the hip there. He's got the nice katana sword. He's got this giant gaffy stick, which is nicely sculpted and painted. And he even has a little claw chain accessory that you can attach here that actually has a real metal chain, so you can wrap other figures in it or whatever, which is just super cool. And just such an impressive figure on the shelf. I'm very happy with this figure. He really did surprise me. And at number 5 is a bigger figure. It is the 3-0 G.I. Joe Firefly. Another Firefly on the list. Firefly made it twice. Who would have thought? But 3-0's 6th scale G.I. Joe line has been a really cool line. I have their Snake Eyes and I have their camo Storm Shadow. Snake Eyes is really good. Storm Shadow's good. He's not crazy good, but he's good. And then Firefly, honestly, kind of impressed me. Again, kind of the same thing with the Boba Fett. I knew I was going to like it, but I like it more than I was expecting to, honestly. He poses pretty nicely. He looks great. The combination of the soft goods suit with the plastic bits for the armor and whatnot, I think meshes pretty well together. Comes with a lot of nice accessories. You got the goggles you can put on his forehead, take them off completely, put them over his eyes. He's got multiple grenades. All these grenades on his belt removable, and these grenades on the shoulder there removable as well. He's got these detonators that are magnetized to his thigh bit there, which is great. He's got a knife sheath on his forearm. He's got a handgun on the hip, the submachine gun, which has moving parts with the stock. You can remove the silencer, remove the magazine. The pistol can also remove his magazine. Got the backpack that looks really nice and has 2 different options for different tools you can have. You can remove this and then put on another version of this that has different details and different tools on it, which I think is super cool that I wasn't expecting to have. There are some limitations to posability. It's not crazy posable. The classified is definitely better for that. But this figure is pretty dynamic enough and has a lot of personality in the posing you can get out of it, which I think is really nice. There it looks like with the goggles. Yeah, I'm really impressed with this figure a lot. I definitely like it more than Storm Shadow. I'm not sure if I like it more than Snake Eyes, but I definitely like it more than Storm Shadow. They have a Cobra Commander coming out, I think, soonish this year. Very much looking forward to that. Cobra Cannon is my favorite character in G.I. Joe, so I'm definitely getting that one. And I'm kind of on the fence with Destro as well. Destro looks really cool too. And snapping down a little lower at number 4, Star Wars has to have spots on my lists with their main lines, TVC and Black Series. And if you've watched my TVC, you've already seen these guys, how they ranked among the other TVC figures, but this is how they rank among all the figures I picked up this year. And I like both of these so much, I could not decide on which to put on this slot. So they're going to share this spot. I'm going to cheat with this one, and I'm going to cheat with the Black Series slot too. I'm just going to be honest. But I love both these figures a lot. Pre Vizsla is a figure that I've wanted made, this version, for a long time. Realistic, and his later season design with the new Mando sculpt that came out a couple of years ago now, maybe. I knew it was inevitable, and it really came out absolutely great. A nice array of accessories, great articulation, painted and sculpted really well. A nice realistic face printed head sculpt underneath the helmet that I think turned out pretty good, considering they can't base it off of an actor. It's based off of just a CG model. I think that turned out really well. And yeah, this is a figure I definitely had to have this year, and I'm not disappointed at all. And then the same thing with Revan. Had an interesting road to getting released, but it did finally get released, and they did decide to go with an all-new sculpt, and it's just a improvement over the old 30th anniversary collection Revan in every way. Great articulation, sculpt and paint is superb, soft goods are well done, accessories are good with the 2 sabers. Yeah, very, very happy with this figure. He is really good. Very happy with it. But those two take number 4. And then number 3, my Black Series. Of course, Black Series had such a crazy year this year. Honestly, I think, in my opinion, for me personally, I think it's my favorite year for Black Series. We got so many figures of characters I've wanted them to make in Black Series sections that I just never thought they would ever make. So it was really a crazy year for releases. And between these two, you'll see how they stacked up in my Black Series top 10 for 2023 if you haven't seen that video already. But for this video, I couldn't decide between the two. I like them both pretty equally, so they're going to share this slot as well. Malgus, one of my favorite EU characters of all time, one of my favorite Sith characters as well, and they just absolutely nailed it. It's one of the few deluxe figures I don't mind paying the full retail price that they asked for it, even though it did end up going on sale, of course. But sculpt and paint is great. He's big, he's beefy. I just knocked over the Zeta Gundam. Articulation's great. The head sculpt and face print is really impressive. I like that you can remove the mask. The soft goods is really good, and the hood is one of the best soft goods hood I've ever seen on a Black Series 6-inch scale figure. The lightsaber is cool. Very happy with that. And then Starkiller. Not as much of a surprise they eventually made him, because he was on a fan vote poll, I think a couple times, and lost. But I'm glad they finally got around to releasing him. This is the exclusive version. If it wasn't the exclusive version, he probably wouldn't be here. But he's this character, another one of my favorite characters from the EU. Definitely especially sentimental for my childhood. I played the shit out of the first game. And this figure, again, done very well. Great articulation, tons of accessories with the exclusive, and I really love the lightning hands. The alternate heads look great, the lightsaber, all the other accessories you get. Just an absolute awesome package of Black Series goodness. And at number 2, we have the 3-0 Transformers DLX Revenge of the Fallen Megatron. I wasn't sure if I was going to end up getting this guy or not this year, but I ended up being able to get him in my local comic shop, got him in, and I traded in a bunch of figures to get a ton of store credit, and basically got this guy for free, sort of. I tried to trade in a bunch of stuff to get him, but didn't have to actually pay any money for him. And absolutely beautiful piece. Like, I pray every time I show off a DLX 3-0 Transformers figure, I gotta sing the praises. These figures are absolute works of art. They're some of the best looking figures in my collection. They look like the CGE models came right out of the movie, right off the screen. And Megatron is super awesome. The paint and sculpted detail is immaculate. The articulation is quite good, especially considering the design. Not quite as articulated as some of the other figures in the line, but still very well articulated. He's got a great light up eye feature. That just has a button. You don't have to disassemble his whole head, which is nice. Yeah, even in the lighting I have, you can kind of see them there, which looks really good. Accessories decent. He has a couple hand options, and then you can either have the normal arm or you can have the cannon arm with the big blade, which looks sick. not a perfect figure. There could be a bit better articulation potentially. And I wish the blade was either removable or they had another arm cannon piece that didn't have the blade, because he didn't always have the blade extended when he was using the cannon. But maybe some more light up spots here and there would have been nice. But overall, he's absolutely beautiful. I don't care he doesn't transform. I do not care. I'm sick and tired of hearing people argue that stuff about not a transformer if it doesn't transform. Well, I'm sorry to inform you, but Transformers is a brand. It's a franchise brand. It's you know, there can be transforming figures that aren't Transformers because they're not part of the Transformers brand, and then there's stuff like this that they may not transform, but they are Transformers because they are part of the Transformers brand. Megatron is a Transformers character. That's my little rant. I see some comments on some videos and it really grinds my gears. I could literally make a whole video on that topic. I probably won't, because it'd just be one big rant video. But yeah, anyways, you gotta just appreciate just the art, the artistry that went into this figure. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely love it. And then at number one, I knew this was going to be number one for me the moment I got it. The moment it was announced, I figured it was probably going to be number one. And if you watch my review of it, if you watch my top 10 Transformers video, it's probably not a big surprise. It is the Transformers Legacy Commander Class Armada Optimus Prime. This is the Optimus I grew up with. The original Armada big toy with the trailer was my first Optimus I ever owned. And yeah, dream come true figure for me. This is pretty much all I wanted from a modern redo, upgrade, or whatever you want to call it, of Armada Optimus. This thing kicks ass. It's kind of everything I wanted back in the day with the original toy. Looks amazing. It's got the articulation I wish the original one had way back in the day. Accessories decent. And it's one of the few commanders I had no problem paying the full price. I feel like I got my money's worth. And of course, I am a little biased there, but I've even seen people who aren't as attached to Armada as me saying the same thing. This thing's incredible. It has compatibility with Overload, which is a 20-year-old toy, if not even older. Yeah, this thing's incredible. I absolutely love it. And when I was thinking about my number one spot, I thought about if there's only one thing I could get this year, what would it be? And 100%, it's Armada Commander Class Optimus Prime. Absolutely love this figure, and even if you're not an Armada fan, you should take a look at maybe getting this figure. It's great. Anyways, that is pretty much it for this video. That is my top 10 figures of the year. Optimus is blocking a lot of them, but yeah, like I said, it was a great year for figures. I'm looking forward to what's in store with 2024, and yeah, that's not much else to say. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. What were some of your guys' favorites figures that came out this year? I'd like to know. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next one. I hope you all have a good new year.